Hello and welcome to Anointed Touch Barber and Beauty and Apparel. I am Shanika Stewart, the owner of this amazing business. Listen, visit us at www.anointedtouchapparel, where you can find great savings, the latest fashion, and we want to meet every one of your needs, from ministry to fellowship to date night to vacation. Whatever the occasion is, I believe we have what you need. Again, visit us at www.oneanointedtouchapparel.com, where we aim to satisfy your apparel need. God bless.
I'm Judge Donald R. Johnson. I sit on the 19th Judicial District Court. And I come to you with a discussion concerning violent behavior, a particular kind of violent behavior. So I've invited a guest who is particularly interested in sharing her story about the type of violence that she experienced and how she made it through that experience. And as a word of hope and as a word of encouragement, but also as a word of direction, she comes to tell her story to you in hopes that you will listen, that you will learn, and then after that, that you will do something. Do something. So I will be introducing to you, as we come to you, very important person, someone who moved to Baton Rouge from Marksville, Louisiana, who came to school here in Baton Rouge to pursue her career, to pursue her education. And along the way, like all of us do, we get involved with another individual, we get married, some of us, and we develop relationships that start out promising and somehow go on the shoulder perhaps, and hopefully don't go into the ditch. But if it does, we want to make certain that you know how to get back on the main road. So in a few minutes, a few seconds, I'm going to introduce to you, and I'll have her to introduce herself so that you'll have a personal acquaintance with her. You'll have a personal experience, because I think that what she's going to share with you is something that you need to listen to. Pay attention to, so that if you find yourself, or if you know that you're already in this situation that she's going to describe, that maybe you'll be enlightened, you'll find some hope, and you'll restore your faith and move on with your lives. So, again, I'm Judge Donald R. Johnson. I sit on the 19th Judicial District Court, and I will come back to you in a minute to talk to you about a particular type of violence, domestic relationship violence. We want to talk about this phenomenon, particularly because recently, the past year with COVID, profound impact upon our communities, profound, deadly consequences have occurred because of inability in our regulation of our emotions. Somehow, an inability to segregate our heart from our mind, letting the heart and the emotion control the organization of reasonable conduct and reasonable behavior with people that supposedly we love. Violence against the very person we say is the most important person to us. How does it happen? In a few minutes, as I've said, we'll come back to you. We'll talk about this in a few seconds. And this lady is going to share with you her experience. So listen closely and then act. Listen closely to Miss Brock and then act. We'll be back in a minute with our guest, Collete Brock. Hold on 1 second.
Hi, my name is Latasha Patrick. Look for me on the Royal Witness Television Network.
I have with me a very important person who can share an experience that hopefully will help you out, help us out, help our community. So with that in mind, let's get straight to it. Ms. Collete Brock. Let's turn our attention to our guest. Ms. Brock, how are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Very well. I think it's very important that we know you had some successes, not to mention some shortcomings.
Right.
But that's life, right? And I'm glad to have you here on the show. I'm glad you came by to stop by to share yourself.
Thank you.
Not many of us go personal. And not many of us are willing to share what's basically what we, some of us try and hide.
Yes.
Keep secret. Keep to ourselves. Some of us psychologically feel that we're not supposed to share adverse consequences with others. But I believe that by sharing your story, you can help others. And I believe that that's why you came to the show.
Yes.
So I'd like for you to introduce yourself. Tell the audience that's listening to this community show about criminal justice, about violent behavior, and this particular kind of violent behavior. What brings you to want to talk?
Well, my first story, I stayed in a relationship for 8 years, and he was my high school boyfriend. Moved to Baton Rouge and thought the world, we were in love, nobody could separate us. We would conquer the world together. Well, little did I know he was addicted to drugs, and every day he fought me to get out the house. He fought to get back in the house. And it was an ongoing relationship, and he would beat me, punch me, give me black eyes. I couldn't open the door to my landlord. I couldn't open the door to the managers. College, you coming out? Not today, not today. Because I had black eyes. I couldn't come out. I couldn't walk or whatever. And I did this for 8 years. And a lady asked me, do you like to be beat? And I say, no, ma'am. Why do you stay? And at this time, I was 21, 22 years old. And I said, because he loves me. And she said, is him beating you every day, is that love? So that wasn't enough. He continued till things got drastic. Got a broken arm, busted eye, busted lip, busted tooth, lost just a lot of different little things. One day my son was 7 and 8 years old. He saw him choking me off the balcony. And my son did all he could to pull him off of me. It was just a horrible life. But he would come back every evening and say he was sorry. Or he would stay out and come back in 1 or 2 days and say, I'm sorry, and I love you, and love me. And I thought this was how the world was supposed to be. Well, after I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, at this point, I had become more independent, had more money, working better, had my own car, my own vehicle. At this time, I had 2 children. And I want everybody to get a plan. Get a plan. Think it out. How you gonna leave, where you going, what you gonna do. Take a month, get a backpack, get some money saved. And a lot of us stay because of the money, because of the finances. But I want you to know that there's help out there. And when Judge Johnson said congratulations, it's because I run a group home. And I run a group home, a safe house for women. It's not just for domestic violence, but anybody trying to get out of any situation.
So let me ask, so you come though with circumstances of having been educated,
Yes, sir.
having gone to college, running a business, working professionally, but yet you stayed
Yes,
8 years.
yes.
Imagine the circumstances for someone who is not as educated as you are, who doesn't have the degree of independence that you had. You stayed because of what reason?
And I felt that this was love, and I thought this was the love of my life. I thought this was the person I was supposed to be with. And so nobody, not his mama, not my mama, not his grandmother, nobody could tell me he was abusing me. Nobody could convince me he was abusing
All
me.
right. So you were told
Yes.
by others outside of your
Yes.
relationship,
Yes.
including people in your family.
Yes,
And despite that advice of what they thought was happening, you rejected it.
yes.
It's not that you were not informed or advised. Did you have counselors or people that had the expertise to give you advice?
No, not at the time.
Not at the time you were trying to decide what
Right,
to do?
right.
Were there times when you left and came back?
I never left, but I changed the lock, put him out, whatever. He stayed gone a week or so, and then I would let him back in.
All right. So your relationship of domestic violence was one where you were trying to be a manager.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You were trying to manage the relationship with the conduct and the children. At the same time, go to work. And were you giving a facade to the rest of us? Were you being the person behind the mask? Were you wearing a mask on the outside so that we could think everything was all right, but on the inside
Right.
it was hidden? Is it?
Yeah, only my close personal friends knew what was going on. But I went to work every day and smiled and grinned, never talked about it or whatever, or found one or two people to confide in. But yes, I went to church, went to the store, grocery store, did everything as if everything was normal. And I say my situation was not as bad as some women.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell my story and the next person tell me theirs, of they were beaten, dragged down the steps, and dragged by the car. So some situation, I'm not saying no level you should stay. No level should you stay. And I'm saying that mine was so, I feel, as I've been in the field and listening to so many stories, that mine was minor compared to what, and so many women don't walk out. They end up being carried out. They didn't get a chance to walk out or leave or make the decision. And they may have packed a bag and had a plan, but he came back that night and that was the last night. So I recommend anybody who can leave, who can get out, to get out.
You mentioned this to me before we went live with the show here, that this need of wanting to be wanted, this need of wanting to have social interaction, that's powerful.
Yes.
And the person that you're involved with does not want you to leave either, wants you to stay in that circumstance.
Right.
Is it a power relationship? Is it one of control? Is it one of, well, if you don't leave, stay, I'll do better? Or is it one of stay and take it? Or is it a combination?
It's always, I'm going to do better, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for you to trip. I didn't mean for you to fall. And sometimes it's gaslighting. If you wouldn't have been at the door, I wouldn't have hit you. If you wouldn't have been in front of me, I wouldn't have tripped you. And it make you think you're making the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so confused at night, you can't rest. Because you're thinking, did I really do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the people on the outside, do you like this? Why are you staying?
Deflection.
Yes.
A method of deflecting. And let me ask you something very personal here.
Yes.
How much a role, if any, did you play so that because I hear it often that Judge Johnson, she triggered this, or she egged me on. She kept pushing me physically or forcing me, and I reacted. And I hear this person, Judge, you know how it goes. I'm tired. I don't want to be bothered. I'm being pushed, and I just react. What is your response to that?
And I feel that I did that, but I felt I was justified, that we're supposed to be a family, we're a household, things have to be taken care of. Where are you going? Where's the money going? Why are you spending the money? So I'm fighting, fussing, and he'll just push me and get out the way, punch me to get out the way, and if I stop and say, you're not leaving, that's a drag out fight, because he was going to get out that door one way or the other.
Notice what Collete just said. She said, you're not going to leave. I don't know when one is told that, how that person reacts, but that statement in itself is a forced statement, because you're saying, husband, you are not going to leave, and husband said, who are you to tell me not to leave?
That made it worse.
It made it worse. We're going to come back in a minute here, because we recognize, and Collete recognized, this issue of domestic relationship violence is complex.
Yes, it is.
And what you're describing is common in other relationships, but nonetheless, yours is unique, because your circumstances are unique to you.
Right.
Some parent may have one child, another may have none. One may have multiple children. So every set of circumstances is unique.
Right.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about not the circumstance of domestic violence, but we're going to talk about transition. So reflect for a minute, community, and when we come back, let's talk about how do we move from that set of circumstances. How do we move away from it, or how do we fix it? To me, Collete, there's only one or two ways to do this thing. Either you leave or you fix it before something happens that none of us want. Leave or fix it before something more violent happens to you, and then we're on the news. Someone's going to jail.
In my opinion, there's only one answer, is to leave, because there's no fixing.
Collete says there's no way to fix a domestic violence relationship. That's Ms. Brock's opinion.
Yes.
So when we come back, let's talk about transition. Let's talk about the way that you say to go, which is to leave. So when we come back, we're going to talk about how Ms. Brock overcame and how she left. We'll be back in a minute. Stand by.
Hello and welcome to Anointed Touch Barber and Beauty and Apparel. I am Shanika Stewart, the owner of this amazing business. Listen, visit us at www.anointedtouchapparel, where you can find great savings, the latest fashion, and we want to meet every one of your needs, from ministry to fellowship to date night to vacation. Whatever the occasion is, I believe we have what you need. Again, visit us at www.oneanointedtouchapparel.com, where we aim to satisfy your apparel need. God bless.
remember, we openly invite you to come talk to us. Come talk to us about community criminal justice. Contact us. We'll be displaying the contact information so that you can come sit down with me and tell us what's going on so that we can become involved and we can help you to collaborate some sort of response that's positive for your circumstance. So I brought you back to talk about transition, particularly about Ms. Brock's decision to leave her domestic violence situation. But before we go to that discussion of what way she went, I'd like for her to share another experience. Ms. Brock?
Yes, and so what I wanted to say is it seemed like we're drawn to that type of man. And it happened over and over again until you wake up and realize to break that cycle. But in the second situation, the young man dated me and put gas in my car and bought lunch and was just beautiful, smiled and grinned. Do you need me to pick up the children? How can I help you? Just over and above. But the minute that I did something out of line, he flipped me out of a chair. He drugged me home. He literally beat me, punched me. I had fought and fought and fought before to get out of a situation, but this night I was literally beat, that I couldn't get up off the floor. When I did get up that morning, this is going into how I transitioned the second time. I packed my bags, I got all my stuff, I left. But what I want to say is if you ever get in that second situation, you're not going to take it. A lot of women say, I wouldn't let him hit on me, or no man go hit me. But once you're hit that second time, once you done got out, you're not going to stay that second time. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you that when I did transition after the 8 years of being with one person, I got my thoughts together, got saved up enough money, a month's worth of rent, moved in with a friend, found an apartment, paid lights, got everything on, hid, told the whole family. Nobody knew where I was. So everywhere he went, do you know where Collete is? Do you know where Collete is? And of course I had a child for him. I'm looking for my child. I'm looking for my child. A whole year passed. He didn't find us. And one day he came on my job and he sat outside and waited in the driveway, waited in the parking lot, followed me home, knocked at the door. He was back. How you think you could leave me? Was ready to drag me again. Was ready to drag me that day. But I had got the strength to leave. And I say it's not going to happen again. It's not going to happen a second time. I'm not taking you back. What you mean you're not taking me back? You always took me back. That day, I meant I wasn't taking him back. I slammed the door, I locked the door, and I called the police. We're not going back. And so everybody got to get that strength to be able to get up and get out. And your family is still there to support you no matter what they say. Your friends are there. And there's safe houses and safe havens all over Baton Rouge, all over Louisiana, all over the United States. I wish I had the 1-800 number. But if you need help, there's help out there. Thank you very much.
Ms. Brock, you talked about your resolute march toward the day when you said, I am leaving and I am not going to repeat the same mistakes again.
Right.
And you said that part of that process involved economics. And you said you eventually saved up money to segregate yourself and get in your own place.
Right.
What if I don't have the money? And that's where I go with your decision. Because if I don't have the money to leave, I don't have a car, or I have transportation I need to pay for, I've got to work, presumably, I've got kids maybe. So your experience leads you to in the direction of establishing outlets.
Right.
I want you to listen very closely here, because if you're experiencing something that Ms. Brock has gone through, she is recommending to you, and this is her recommendation, that 8 years of roaming around trying to figure it out is just not going to work. that you need to make your mind up and decide and put your foot down and decide what you want to do and find the resources that will enable you to sustain the separation, to sustain the new life that you want to embark upon. So tell the community, particularly young ladies or people, let's just say people, who want to go in another direction, who's made the decision, but because of economics or because of no place to stay, no money to eat, where do you send me? If I pick up the phone and call you, how am I going to know what to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to feel safe? At least here I've got a place. At least here I may have some food. At least here I've got water. I've got subsistence to live every day. And you're telling me, okay, just go. And I'm saying, but nothing but what? Tell us about how they help.
So number one, we want to know, do you have any support system? Do you have any family? I don't care if it's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or anywhere in the United States. Can we get you there? Can we get you to Lafayette? Can we get you to Shreveport? Then there's free agencies, St. Vincent de Paul, St. Agnes, that will take you. They have stipulations, but they will take you. There is ISIS House in Baton Rouge that is strictly for domestic violence, but it's only a limited, it's only a limited number of spaces that people can go. And Lean on Me, New Beginning Safe House, we only have so many beds and so many rooms, and everyone will say it's on. So in the different ages of the children, all of that have to be analyzed. But the number one thing is you want to make that phone call. You want to call somebody and say, I need some help. I'm trying to get out. When we first started and TJ Maxx Foundation funded us, if we couldn't do nothing but get you out of the situation, put you in a hotel for 2 or 3 days, give you a food voucher to be able to eat, and sit down with you and say, where do we go from here? Whether you go to a transitional house, whether we find you an apartment, there are places out there that there are safe havens to help you. So don't feel as if you're stuck and there's no answer.
So the name of the organization, were you the founder of your organization?
I'm the founder and director.
And what's the name of your community organization?
And Lean on Me Incorporated is my business, and New Beginning Safe House is one of my houses.
And the mission of this organization is what?
Is to provide transitional housing to homeless women, whether it's domestic violence, substance abuse, or formerly incarcerated women. We have a space for you, and we have referrals to get you where you got to go.
All right, so I want you to listen very closely. If you are feeling as if your circumstances is such that if you leave, you don't have help, then listen to Ms. Brock. She's saying that her agency is one of many that is receptive to finding solutions to your situation, to your unique situation. What she's saying to you is that you're going to be screened. You're going to be screened for intake. You're going to be assessed, evaluated, and then what's needed to help you manage yourself. And I want you to share with us in the community about how are you helping to manage the risk that attaches when you leave. Very important, because the literature and the data tells me that when you make that decision to go, that is a very, very heightened zone where the most high level risk for your safety is at risk. That moment when you decide to go is where something may start to set in on the other side, the other individual. And at that point, that person may feel as if I'm losing, I have no reason now to be normal or try to be reasonable. I've lost it. And the reaction may be that that individual now cares about nothing.
Right.
And now you're at risk because of that person recognizing, I've lost control now. I don't have any more. She doesn't care anymore. I have no manipulative ability.
Right.
So what do you tell the community about the risk factor when I decide to go? You're telling me if I need to go, you're telling me you have resources for me, but what are you telling me how you're going to protect me or help protect me when this decision to made to walk out and don't come back, because that is problematic?
Right. The only answer I have is to put them in that hotel, and that way you're not jeopardizing my building, because we are in fear that they will come, and we've had men sit in the parking lot, and they didn't knock at the door, former husbands or boyfriends or whatever. They didn't come to the door, but they put that threat that I'm still here. So we had to get that lady out. We had to put her in a hotel, and then we had to send her home. I don't have all the answers.
Okay.
I don't have all the answers, but the number one thing is we do have to consider the safety of everybody and the safety of that person.
Okay. The reason I asked that question is because we're closing in on the end of our show, and I know that that's a heightened concern that if I decide to leave, worse things are going to happen, Judge Johnson. I'm going to be worse off because that person who I'm leaving may not care about anything, may not even care about living anymore, because they somehow feel that they've lost me, so therefore they've lost everything. So they value nothing now. They don't even value their own life. So they're willing to perhaps take mine and their own or our children. So we recognize that that is an issue, and we'll come back with solutions. We have situations that have developed in our community that persons found that to happen, and they were not able to regulate that risk. Unfortunately, they lost their lives. So we're aware of that, and we're trying to address that. In the meantime, community, I'm going to allow Ms. Brock to close the show, because it's her story, it's her path to freedom, to her independence, to her happiness. So Ms. Brock, you may conclude the show by making any thought or expression you would like to make to our community. Ms. Brock.
I want to speak to each and every lady that you are somebody, you are important, you are loved, God loves you, you are important, and we want to see you walk out that door. Well, by any means necessary. I never want you to jeopardize your life, jeopardize your children. Don't do anything. I'm not recommending that anybody leave today, tonight, or tomorrow. Make a plan. Have resources. Get everything lined up. Get your bag ready. If you need to go tonight, leave tonight. But if you can't leave, don't leave until you got everything in order. And know that you are going to a safe location. But you are important. You are loved, you are cared about by more people than you know. And I just want you to know that you're important to me, you're important to God. God sees the situation. I want you to be careful, be blessed, be safe. And don't leave unless you know you have somewhere to go. Thank you.
From Marksville to Baton Rouge, through domestic violence, a survivor. I'm happy to introduce you to our guest. I'm happy you've listened, and hopefully you learned. Good luck, community. We'll be back another show soon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you for listening.